What's going on, guys, and welcome to Who to Sign For. Now, in this series, I'm giving you my recommendations on what players to sign for a specific team in career mode. Before we go on, I will say that the signings you'll see aren't designed to be realistic, and the player ratings and potential of the players may vary depending on what database you're using and how they perform for you during the season. Obviously, you don't have to follow all the tips. This is really just a set of guidelines to give you a hand if you're stuck for ideas and want some suggestions of what players you can sign for a certain club. This is mainly aimed at those of you out there who may be new to the game. I just need a little bit of advice, or for those of you out there who want a few recommendations on what players to sign for a team you may be using in career mode this year. So in today's episode of Who to Sign For, guys, we're going to take a look at one of the most famous managers in modern football's team, Roma. Yes, Roma of the famous old Italian city of Rome, playing at the Stadio Olimpico, ground sharing with their fierce rivals Lazio. They're a great team to do a FIFA career mode with if you can handle the fact they don't have their license badge and kits as well. And now, of course, José Mourinho taking over for the season has led them to the final of the Europa Conference League in its inaugural season, so they're going for the final. I think he's now become the first manager to compete in the Europa League final, a Champions League final, and the Europa Conference League final, basically by default, really. But even so, great achievement from Mourinho to get his side to the Europa Conference League final. And as we take a look at the Italians here, this is their team in the game. Now, it's a 4.5 star team. It's good. There's a couple of really good young players in there as well. There are some aging players you'll want to shift on as well. And they're a great team to do a career mode with because they're a really good challenge as well. In the first season, I'd say the objectives are reasonable. You're asked to win the Europa Conference League, which of course Roma are going for tonight against the Dutch side Feyenoord. Finish in the top 4 in the Serie A, that's definitely doable. And the cup objective, I always find the domestic cup objective in the first season is always very reasonable unless you're a 5-star team. No exceptions here either. So again, Roma, a 4.5 star team with a budget of just over £40 million. You see there's some really decent youngsters in this team here. One of my favourites in the game there, captain. Actually, fair, I wouldn't really call him a youngster now at 25 years old, but he's not old either. 25-year-old Lorenzo Pellegrini, the perfect box-to-box in his team. They've got Nicolo Zaniolo, the centre-forward partnering Tammy Abraham, another great young forward up top, of course, worked with Mourinho at Chelsea, as we remember. It's a really solid team, but again, it can get younger and it can get better. Now, there are 3 players I put on the transfer list now, all in their 30s and all ex-Premier League boys. You've got Henrik Mkhitaryan, the Armenian, Chris Smalling, and also David Santon as well. I'd sell them all in the first season. Santon and, I think it's Santon and Mkhitaryan have the deals that come at the end of the year. Smalling's is in 2 years, but as much as I love Chris Smalling, I've always found him to be a criminally underrated centre-half during his time at Manchester United, and of course, he's a fellow vegan as well, so I like that. I still would sell him. He's 79 rated, and he's a really good defender. He's been really important to José Mourinho since he arrived at the Stadio Olimpico. And since he transferred to Roma after a successful loan period there, he's done really well adapting to life in the Serie A. But personally, at 31 years old, I would look to sell. He's only going to get worse. I would cash in on Chris Smalling in the first season. 79 rated makes him one of the best centre-backs in the team, but personally, you can get better, you can get younger. I would let him go if I were you. So, as you can see, we also sold Mkhitaryan here to Marseille as well. I couldn't get any more money than 17.5 mil, but again, Henrik's deal is up at the end of the year. He's a really solid player, Mkhitaryan, to be fair. He can play through the middle and out on the flank as well, but again, in his 30s, I would look to sell. We sold David Santon to Fiorentina for 1.7 mil, so not much money there. Smalling went to the Magpies for £13 million. I could see that transfer happening in real life, to be fair. And Mkhitaryan went to Marseille for 17.5 mil. So for the 3 of them there, we got just over £32 million with the board skimming a bit off the top. That added around 25 million to our transfer budget. So we now had around 70 million to work with, and it was time to reinvest and bring in some new signings to this Roma team. And for me, the one position I would look to strengthen more than anywhere else is at centre-back. Yeah, we just sold Chris Smalling. They've got a couple of really decent centre-halves here anyway, such as Ibanez and Mancini as well. But you can get better and you can get younger and you can make this side stronger in the back line. Because Roma play a back 3 three, you really want to make sure that the three centre-halves you've got are both comfortable on the ball, but also really defensively solid as well. And I'd recommend bringing in two new centre-halves for Roma. Once you sold Chris Smalling, you've got Ibanez, you've got Mancini, there's a youngster Kumbula on loan as well, but I would recommend bolstering that back line with two new centre-halves. And the players I'd recommend are these two guys right here. Nico Schlatterback of Fryeburg, who's done a tremendous job in the Bundesliga this year with his Fryeburg side. He is just 21 years old, but already 80 overall. One of the best young centre-halves in the Bundesliga. He's got 2 years left in his contract, so he won't cost you too much money. I'd say around 30 mil to bring him in. We spent 31 million on Schlotterbeck, but the young German, starting off 80 overall, also has 86 potential, and with dynamic potential, could get in to the high 80s. Yeah, he's a really solid defence-minded player, very physical, 82 strength. He's not too slow either, with some great base defensive stats, yet really good old-school centre-half. And again, as a passer of the ball, he's not terrible at that role either, but as an old-school centre-half, does a really good job. And the other centre-half I'd recommend is this guy. I recommend him for a lot of career modes if you're looking for a sort of a budget good centre-half. It's Luis Felipe of Lazio, Brazilian-born, now representing Italy on the international stage. The reason I always recommend this guy is his contract's up come the end of the year, and that means you can get him for under the valuation. He's valued at 21 mil. You can get him for around 17, 18 mil. That's what we paid for Luis Felipe. It's a bargain buy for the 79 rated 24-year-old. And whilst he is now approaching his mid-20s, don't be put off by that, because he still grows 5 ratings to 84 overall. He's 6'2", he's got decent strength, a good jumper, great aggression as well, and again, pacey, reasonably pacey, I should say, for a centre-half, not too slow either, really solid, young-ish, if you will, defender to bring in, and again, that really helps bolster your back line. Schlotterbeck and Luis Felipe can go right into the first three, with the youngster Ibanez coming off the bench as well. So, for more signings with Roma, still had an abundance of money left over those two really good deals there. I'd recommend bringing in this guy as a new backup goalkeeper. Now, you've got Robin Olsen, who's currently on loan at Aston Villa right now. If you want, you can just recall him and have him as your stand-in for Rui Patricio, but that'll mean both your goalkeepers are in their 30s and quite old. Personally, I'd look for someone who can be a long-term successor for Rui Patricio as the years go by, as the Portuguese former Wolves shot stopper is now in his 30s. And the guy I'd recommend is this guy right here. It's Martin van der Vert, the young Belgian. Great signing. You can get this guy for around £3 million. And again, he's an excellent choice for the future. At 70 or 71 overall, he's not going to start many games for you in the first couple of years. Patricio will remain as your number one, but as the years go by, he can get better than the Portuguese veteran. Yeah, he's got 84 potential. Our dynamic potential can get into the mid to high 80s. Really solid understudy for Rui Patricio, and a youngster to watch out for to be his long-term successor in the future. I'd also recommend this guy as well. As we know, with Roma, they've got two great forwards up top in Nicolo Zaniolo and Tammy Abraham. Good young strikers there. But I also recommend this guy for the bench. It's Giacomo Raspadori. Just like Luis Felipe, his contract's up come the end of the year, so you can get him for around, if not under the valuation. We spent just 14 million to get him, and once again, he's a great budget striker to buy in this game. He's got 85 potential and starts off 76 rated, so he's going to go right onto your bench as your new third choice striker, and again, just 21 years old. I love the high-low work rates. I love the 5-star weak foot. He's quick. He needs some improvement in terms of his strength, but as a finisher, he's a really solid young forward to buy. Bonus points of him being Italian as well. So again, for 14 mil, it's an absolute bargain. So once the season ticket money came in, we had around £30 million to work with, and I did decide to try and make one or two more signings here. And I was going to look for a new central midfielder. Obviously, we sold Henrik Mkhitaryan, and we still have Cristante that can come in and do the job in this team, and Veretout as well. But I would recommend a new young CM for now, but also for the future as well. And there's 4 really good names on my shortlist here. One of my absolute favourite, if not my favourite player on FIFA, Renato Sanchez, man. I love him to pieces. Unfortunately, I couldn't afford to get him. Then there is, of course, the young Ajax wonder kid, who I'm sure you know all about. It's Ryan Gravenberch. Gravenberch, of course, with the 90 potential. And then the two Portuguese lads right now at Sporting Lisbon and Porto as well. Matheus Nunes at the former. He's valued at 30.5 mil. You won't spend that much over the valuation again. You probably get around 35 mil. I didn't have the money to do that naturally, but I did try and swap the young forward we had here originally, plus a lot of money as well. And also Vitinha at Porto as well. You'll see here I put in a massive sell-on clause of 20%, plus agreed a deal of £32 million, I think it was, for Vitinha. So really expensive transfers there for the young Portuguese duo. But they've both got great starting overalls and also really high potential as well. Having said that, I decided to wait to see what Ajax would say regarding Gravenberch after they stalled on my initial offer. They said if you come back with 31.5 mil and a 12% sell-on clause, you can have him. But I thought I could still get it a little bit lower. That's why I always recommend, if you've seen that a club has stalled your initial offer, don't throw in the towel and think it's over, because oftentimes the clubs will come back with a reduced asking price and you can reduce it even further. That's exactly what we did. We agreed a £30 million deal plus I believe a 15% sell-on clause for Gravenberch, and this guy, it's going to be worth a lot more than that in the future. Ajax fans will tell you that. He's just 19 years old, but 78 rated. He is an absolute wonder kid in this year's FIFA, and like I alluded to earlier, with that 90 potential, he's one of the rare players in FIFA with 90 plus base potential. Now with dynamic potential, he can get even higher than that as well. Yep, I love this guy. He's got the solid player trait, 4-star, and he's a jack of all trade player, like the type of player I absolutely love. Defensively, he can sit back and break up moves if he's asked to do so. He can go forward as a advanced playmaker. He can be right through the middle. He can be a box-to-box. The guy can do anything, and he's just 19, and he's only going to get better. So when you buy Gravenberch, the choice is yours on what development plan you want to give him. If you want to make him like an advanced playmaker in this team, you know, work on his attacking base stats. If you want to make him an ultimate box-to-box, make sure he's got all the energy in the world. If you want to make him more of a defensive unit, give him that ball-winning midfielder development plan to train a defensive work rate from medium to high. Really, the choice is yours on what you plan to do with Ryan Gravenberch. With 90 potential, this guy is an absolute star and a perfect fit for AS Roma. So with a small amount of money we had remaining after signing the Dutch wonder kid, we brought in one new player here just to fill out the squad. It's Gnonto right now playing for FC Zurich in Switzerland. He's a young Italian forward, just 17 years old, but this guy's absolutely rapid, yet really quick. Not the tallest at 5'7", but a decent finish on him at just 17 years old, and again, absolutely rapid as well. He's got 83 potential as well, so in the future, he'll turn into a really good, reliable backup striker for you. So as all the deals came to an end at the end of the summer window, as you can see, we sold 3 players for 32.2 mil and signed 6 players for 96 million. But again, all 3 players we sold were in their 30s, and all the players we bought were either in their early 20s or currently, in the case of Gravenberch and Van der Voort, teenagers as well. Yeah, we made this side younger, we made it better, and it got a lot more exciting for the future as well. The last thing I'd recommend doing with Roma as well is they play a 3 at the back system, which means that the wide midfielders are LMs and RMs. If you're going to operate with Spinazzola on the left and Karsdorp on the right, which is what I would recommend as they're the highest rated, is I'd bring them back to left wing back and right wing back. You're still technically playing 3 at the back, but it gets rid of the exclamation mark on their player names, and it means they don't have a temporary attribute decrease. It gets rid of that as they're now playing in a more preferred role. So as per usual, we'd simulate the end of the season with our Roma team and see how we will get on. Could we have silverware in the Europa Conference League and finish in the top 4 in this area? Well, as you can see, I came back slightly early because there was a chance at a double and possibly a treble. And we lost at the Coppa Italia final to Inter on penalties. Heartbreak, but talk about revenge for José Mourinho. Yep, sacked by Spurs right before that EFL Cup final. Anyone remember that? One of the wildest things we've seen. Sacking a manager right before a cup final. Spurs, of course, went on to lose that cup final. Mourinho got his revenge, if you will, beating Spurs in the Europa Conference League final. We finished top 4 in this area, only 5 points behind Juve and a whopping 17 points clear of Napoli in 5th as well, as we cemented the Champions League place very comfortably in the first season. So, solid season in the league, and also winning the Europa Conference League as well. And of course in the Cup, we weren't asked to win it. We went all the way to the final and only lost on the lottery of the spot kicks as well. So I have to say, that is a brilliant first season for AS Roma to go all the way to the Coppa Italia and only lose in heartbreaking fashion to Inter, who of course, as we know, won it in real life this year. That's a really solid run. And in the Europa Conference League as well, we made it through our group, not as winners, but as runners-up, but did manage to get through all the knockout rounds. First taking out PSV, then Bodo Glimt, who we had in the group stages, then KAA against the Belgians, then Galatasaray in the semi, and then José Mourinho beating his old team Spurs in the Europa Conference League final to win it in the inaugural season, just like he's going to try and do tonight against Feyenoord. So in the end, as you'll see, we hit 2 of our objectives and exceeded another. We were asked to reach the quarterfinals of the Coppa Italia and all the way to the final, only to come up short on penalties. We were asked to win the Europa Conference League, we did it. We were asked to finish in the top 4, we did it. Yep, a really successful first season with Roma. And we look at the groundwork we laid in the first season, developing our team and bringing in those young talents as well. This is a much better Roma team than the one we inherited, and it's much younger as well. We sold those aging players in their 30s, David Santon, Chris Smalling and Mkhitaryan, all leaving in the first season. And we look at the players coming in here. Van der Voort is our long-term success for Rui Patricio, growing 2 ratings. The 2 centre-halves did really well. Luis Felipe grew 3 ratings to 82 overall in the first season. Definitely recommend him for a Serie A career mode. Being Italian's a bonus, and he's a really great budget centre-half as well. Nico Schlatterback, the German, formerly of Fryeburg, grew 3 ratings as well, so really solid signing too. And when you think about the youngsters we brought in as well, with the potentials they've got, you know, Gnonto is the lowest potential player out of the 6, and he's got 83 potential. That just goes to show you the real great young talent now here with Roma that he already inherited with the likes of Zaniolo, but also the players we brought in too, like Gravenberch, for example, who got 5 goals during our Europa Conference League campaign and grew 4 ratings to 82 overall in the very first season. This guy is just an absolute wonder kid by right. So yeah, really fun team, Roma. It's such a shame they don't have their licensing, so of course you won't have the real badge they've got, but the generic badge actually looks kind of cool, to be honest, as do the kits. The kits aren't real either, but they're still actually kind of cool, really. But there's no Stadio Olimpico in the game, but the generic stadium is quite a similar fit to the Stadio Olimpico in real life as well. But I definitely recommend them. They're a really good challenge right from the first season. You got to lay the groundwork early in the first year. You know it's going to take a while before you can start winning Serie A and Champions Leagues, but as a 3 to 4 season project, I definitely recommend AS Roma. Had a lot of fun rebuilding this team. I'd definitely give them a go for an Italian career mode. But that will end today's episode of the Who to Sign For series, guys. Big fan you've watched. I hope you enjoyed it. If you had, then please drop a like. Much love to you all. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you for the next episode of Who to Sign For very soon.